History has a way of hiding its most fascinating secrets in plain sight, places that whisper of forgotten civilizations, unsolved mysteries, and untold stories buried beneath the weight of time. Think about it. Right now, as we go about our daily lives, there are corners of the world where ancient ruins stand silent, their origins shrouded in questions even the brightest minds can't fully answer. These are the spots where history doesn't just speak, it keeps its secrets locked away, daring us to unravel them. And today, we're going on a journey to uncover 25 of the most mysterious historical locations that still defy explanation. Picture this: a city carved into towering cliffs, its purpose lost to the ages, or an underground labyrinth so vast no one knows who built it or why. These aren't just fragments of imagination, they're real places scattered across the globe, waiting for someone to piece together their puzzles. Some are hidden deep in jungles, swallowed by nature's grip. Others sit in plain view, yet their true stories remain just out of reach. What connects them? The thrill of the unknown, the tantalizing possibility that behind every crumbling wall or silent artifact, there's a revelation that could rewrite what we thought we knew about our past. This isn't just a tour of old ruins or dusty relics. It's an invitation to step into the shoes of explorers and archaeologists, to feel the rush of standing at the edge of a mystery and wondering what happened here. Who walked these paths centuries ago, and what were they trying to achieve? From eerie islands steeped in myth to sprawling complexes that seem to defy the technology of their time, each of these locations holds a piece of history's grandest enigma. So, if you've ever felt that pull toward the unexplained, that itch to dig deeper into the stories our textbooks left out, you're in the right place. Let's begin. The legend of Atlantis begins with the ancient philosopher Plato, who first described it over 2,000 years ago as a mighty island kingdom, rich in power and sophistication until it vanished beneath the waves in a single day and night. According to his writings, Atlantis was a marvel of engineering, with concentric rings of water and land, grand temples, and advanced technology far ahead of its time. But what makes this lost city so captivating isn't just its sudden disappearance, it's the tantalizing question of whether it ever existed at all. Plato insisted Atlantis was real, a cautionary tale of hubris punished by the gods. Yet no definitive evidence has ever been found, turning the search for Atlantis into a detective story spanning centuries. Modern explorers have proposed countless theories about its possible location. Some believe it could lie beneath the Mediterranean, near the island of Santorini, where a volcanic eruption around 1600 BCE destroyed the Minoan civilization, a catastrophe that might have inspired Plato's tale. Others argue for the Caribbean, pointing to underwater formations like the Bimini Road, a mysterious stone path beneath the ocean that some claim is a remnant of Atlantis. Then there's the Sahara Desert, where satellite images reveal what could be the circular structure Plato described, now buried under centuries of sand. The most compelling clues, though, come from the depths of the sea. Off the coast of Cuba, sonar scans have detected what appear to be massive, man-made structures over 1,000 feet below the surface, pyramids and roads that shouldn't be there. And near the Azores, underwater archaeologists have found strange artifacts and geometric patterns etched into the ocean floor. Could these be the ruins of Atlantis or just the tricks of nature? The debate rages on. What keeps Atlantis alive in our imagination isn't just the mystery of its location. It's the idea that an entire civilization, with all its knowledge and achievements, could vanish without a trace. If Atlantis was real, what happened to its people? What secrets did they take with them? And if it's just a myth, why do we keep searching? Maybe because deep down we all wonder if the greatest story ever told might still be waiting, hidden beneath the waves, for someone to prove it true. The Bermuda Triangle stretches between Miami, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda, a patch of ocean no bigger than your average shipping route. yet infamous for swallowing ships and planes without a trace. Since the 19th century, reports have piled up of compasses spinning wildly, radios going silent, and vessels vanishing into thin air. The stories sound like something from a horror movie, Flight 19, a squadron of 5 U.S. Navy bombers disappearing mid-mission in 1945 with no distress calls. The SS Marine Sulphur Queen, a massive tanker, gone without wreckage in 1963. Even Christopher Columbus himself supposedly logged strange lights and erratic compass readings here during his voyages. But what separates fact from folklore? Scientists have spent decades poking holes in the triangle's sinister reputation. One theory points to methane gas bubbling up from the ocean floor, reducing water density so drastically that ships lose buoyancy and sink in seconds. Others blame rogue waves, walls of water over 100 feet tall capable of capsizing even the sturdiest vessels. Then there's the simple truth that this is a busy stretch of sea, where human error, tropical storms, and strong currents conspire to create perfect conditions for accidents. Satellite data even reveals that the triangle isn't statistically more dangerous than any other heavily trafficked waterway. So why does the myth persist? Maybe it's the human craving for mystery, the thrill of a puzzle that refuses to be solved. Or perhaps it's the way the triangle taps into deeper fears, the idea that even in our modern age with GPS and satellite tracking, nature can still remind us how little control we really have. Whatever the reason, the Bermuda Triangle endures as a cultural phenomenon, inspiring books, documentaries, and blockbuster films. It's a reminder that sometimes the most compelling mysteries aren't about what we've lost, but about the stories we choose to keep alive. And while science may have demystified much of the triangle's lore, there's still a haunting question left unanswered. What happened to those who vanished? Were they victims of natural phenomena we've yet to fully understand, or is there a stranger truth lurking beneath those deceptively calm blue waves? The ocean keeps its secrets well, but that doesn't stop us from wondering. Rising from the grassy plains of England like a petrified crown, Stonehenge has baffled historians for centuries. This ring of towering stones, some weighing over 25 tons, stands as one of humanity's most enduring puzzles, built in stages between 3000 and 2000 BCE. Its construction required staggering ingenuity, hauling massive bluestones over 150 miles from Wales, shaping them with primitive tools, and arranging them with precision that still defies easy explanation. But the real mystery isn't just how Stonehenge was built, but why. Archaeologists have pieced together tantalizing clues. The arrangement aligns perfectly with the summer and winter solstices, suggesting it functioned as a celestial calendar. During the summer solstice, the rising sun pierces the center of the monument, casting light between the stones like a laser. This wasn't accidental. The builders positioned each slab with mathematical precision, hinting at a deep understanding of astronomy. Some theories propose it was a place of healing, where pilgrims gathered to seek cures from the bluestones, which were believed to have magical properties. Others argue it served as a burial ground. Excavations have uncovered human remains dating back to its earliest construction phases, some bearing signs of trauma that suggest ritual sacrifice. Then there's the question of who built it. The absence of written records leaves us with only whispers from the past. Recent DNA analysis of nearby Neolithic graves reveals the builders likely descended from Anatolian farmers who migrated to Britain around 4000 BCE, blending with local hunter-gatherers. But how did these early communities without wheels or metal tools orchestrate such a feat? One theory involves sledges and rafts to transport the stones, while experiments show teams of hundreds could have moved them using ropes and log rollers. Yet even these explanations feel incomplete when you stand among the stones, feeling the weight of their silence. The most haunting aspect of Stonehenge isn't what we know, it's what we may never uncover. Were its builders guided by priests or astronomers? Did it mark a sacred boundary between worlds, as some folklore suggests? And why was it abandoned, left to the mercy of time? Modern technology continues to reveal surprises. Ground-penetrating radar has detected hidden pits and pathways, suggesting the visible stones are just the tip of a much larger ceremonial complex. Each discovery peels back another layer, but the heart of the mystery remains untouched. Perhaps that's why Stonehenge endures in our collective imagination. It's not just a monument, it's a mirror reflecting our hunger to understand the past. Standing before these ancient stones, you can't help but feel the presence of those who came before, people not so different from us, reaching for the stars, wrestling with the same existential questions, and leaving behind a puzzle made not just of rock but of meaning. Scattered across the arid plains of southern Peru, the Nazca Lines stretch for miles, a sprawling canvas of ancient artistry etched into the desert floor. These enormous geoglyphs, some over 1,200 feet long, depict everything from spiders and monkeys to geometric shapes so precise they could only be fully appreciated from the air. Created between 500 BCE and 500 CE by the Nazca culture, their sheer scale raises one immediate question. How did a civilization without flight conceive designs meant to be seen from above? Theories about their purpose are as varied as the lines themselves. Some researchers believe they served as sacred pathways for rituals, guiding processions to spiritual sites. Others argue they were astronomical calendars, aligning with celestial events like solstices or the Pleiades star cluster, a way for the Nazca to mark time or predict seasonal changes crucial to their survival. Then there's the more controversial idea that they were offerings to gods or even attempts to communicate with beings in the skies, a notion fueled by their bird's-eye perspective. But perhaps the most compelling theory ties them to water, the lifeline of this parched region. Some glyphs follow underground aquifers, suggesting the Nazca might have used them to map precious water sources or invoke rain through symbolic ceremonies. How they were made is another marvel. The Nazca likely scraped away the dark upper layer of desert pebbles to reveal the lighter earth beneath, creating contrast that has endured for centuries. The dry, windless climate of the plateau acted as a natural preservative, locking these designs in time. But the real shock isn't just their craftsmanship, it's their invisibility from ground level. Without modern technology, the Nazca would have needed meticulous planning, perhaps using scaled-down models or ropes to plot the designs before etching them full size. What lingers most powerfully about these lines isn't just the how or the why, but the silence surrounding their creators. The Nazca left no written records, leaving us to decode their intentions through scattered pottery fragments and burial sites. Modern technology has unveiled new glyphs hidden beneath the soil, hinting that we've only scratched the surface of this mystery. Were they prayers etched into the earth, messages to the cosmos, or something far more practical? The desert holds its secrets tightly, and the Nazca Lines remain a testament to human ingenuity and our endless drive to leave marks that outlast us. The Great Pyramids of Giza stand as the last surviving wonder of the ancient world, their sheer scale and precision challenging everything we think we know about early human engineering. While most people recognize their iconic shape, few grasp just how many unanswered questions these structures still hold. Take the construction itself. How did laborers move 2.5 million limestone blocks, some weighing up to 80 tons, without modern machinery? Theories range from massive ramps spiraling around the pyramid's exterior to counterweight systems harnessing the Nile's floodwaters, but no single explanation fully satisfies. Even more puzzling is the precision of the work. The base of the Great Pyramid is leveled to within just a fraction of an inch across its entire 13-acre footprint, a feat that would require laser-guided tools today. Then there are the hidden chambers, spaces within the pyramid that continue to evade understanding. In 2017, scans revealed a mysterious void nearly 100 feet long above the Grand Gallery, its purpose still unknown. Could it be a hidden burial chamber, a structural reinforcement, or something even more unexpected? The pyramid's internal passages add another layer of intrigue. The so-called air shafts from the King's Chamber align with specific stars Orion's Belt and the North Star, suggesting the builders encoded celestial knowledge into the very bones of the structure. Were these shafts meant to guide the pharaoh's soul to the heavens, or do they point to a deeper astronomical purpose? Perhaps the most haunting question is one rarely asked. Why does the Great Pyramid's placement match the cardinal directions with near-perfect accuracy, deviating by just 3/60ths of a degree? Modern architects would struggle to achieve such alignment without satellite technology. Some researchers propose the pyramid's layout mirrors the constellation Orion, mirroring an ancient sky map, while others argue its dimensions encode mathematical constants like pi and the golden ratio. The truth may never be fully uncovered, but each new discovery peels back another layer of this millennia-old enigma. What makes the pyramids endure as more than just tombs is the lingering sense that we're missing a crucial piece of the puzzle. They're not just monuments to the dead, they're time capsules, holding secrets about a civilization that mastered arts we've since forgotten. Every unsolved chamber, every unexplained alignment whispers the same tantalizing thought: what else lies hidden, waiting to rewrite history? For all our advances, the pyramids remain a humbling reminder that the past still has stories left to tell. Hidden away in Yale University's Voynich Library lies a book that has defied understanding for over 6 centuries, the Voynich Manuscript. Its 240 pages are filled with looping, alien script no linguist has ever deciphered, accompanied by illustrations so strange they seem plucked from a fever dream. Naked women bathing in green liquid, plants that don't resemble any known species, and celestial charts mapping skies unrecognizable to modern astronomy. Carbon dated to the early 15th century, this enigmatic tome has tormented cryptographers, historians, and even wartime codebreakers, all failing to unlock its secrets. What makes it so maddening isn't just the unreadable text, it's the gnawing sense that every clue lures us deeper into the unknown. Theories about its origins sprawl as wildly as its cryptic drawings. Some argue it's the work of a medieval alchemist, encoding recipes for the elixir of life in a secret language. Others propose it's an elaborate hoax, an early Renaissance con artist's creation designed to baffle wealthy patrons. Then there's the more tantalizing idea that it's a lost language, perhaps a Proto-Romance dialect or even an extinct form of Nahuatl, the language of the Aztecs. The illustrations only deepen the puzzle. Herbal sections depict flora with twisted roots and bulbous leaves that don't match any botanical records, leading some to speculate they're symbolic or imaginary. Astronomical diagrams show clusters of stars in formations no telescope has ever observed, suggesting either deliberate encryption or a world radically different from our own. Attempts to crack its code read like a history of frustration. In the 1920s, a team of scholars declared it a phonetic cipher, only to produce gibberish. Decades later, a CIA cryptanalyst claimed partial success using Cold War-era techniques, but his translation, a treatise on women's health, was met with skepticism. Even artificial intelligence has taken a swing, with algorithms detecting faint linguistic patterns hinting at Hebrew or Arabic, yet no coherent message has emerged. The manuscript structure adds another layer of intrigue. Words follow statistical rules resembling real languages, but their meanings dissolve like smoke the moment researchers grasp at them. What keeps scholars returning to this maddening puzzle isn't just the thrill of the chase. It's the possibility that the Voynich Manuscript represents something far rarer than a mere curiosity. Could it be the sole surviving text of a forgotten culture, its knowledge locked away because no one remembers how to read it? Or is it something more intimate, a personal diary encrypted to protect secrets too dangerous for its time? Every faded ink stroke seems to whisper that the answer lies just beyond reach, taunting us with the ghost of a story we may never fully hear. The manuscript's greatest power might not be in what it says, but in what it refuses to reveal. In the late 16th century, a group of English settlers arrived on the shores of what is now North Carolina, establishing the Roanoke Colony, a foothold for Britain's ambitions in the New World. But when a resupply ship returned in 1590, the entire settlement had vanished. Not a single soul remained, no bodies were found, and the only clue left behind was the word Croatoan carved into a fence post. This single cryptic message ignited a mystery that has haunted historians for over 400 years, becoming one of America's most enduring unsolved enigmas. Theories about what happened to the so-called lost colony range from plausible to downright chilling. Some historians argue the settlers assimilated with the nearby Croatoan tribe, a theory supported by reports of European features among indigenous descendants in later generations. Others suggest they fell victim to disease, starvation, or conflict with local tribes' harsh realities of colonial life. But it's the darker possibilities that capture the imagination. Spanish forces who viewed the English as trespassers may have wiped them out to eliminate competition. Some even speculate the colonists attempted to sail back to England and were lost at sea, though no wreckage was ever found. Modern archaeologists continue to sift through the soil for answers. Recent excavations have uncovered European artifacts buried near Croatoan territory, including a 16th-century signet ring and fragments of pottery that hint at cultural blending. Yet, these discoveries raise as many questions as they answer. Why would an entire community leave so abruptly, leaving behind no trace but a single word? Was Croatoan a distress signal, a destination, or something far more ominous? What cements Roanoke's place in popular culture isn't just a mystery, it's the eerie, almost ghostly atmosphere that clings to the story. The idea of a community vanishing without explanation taps into our deepest fears of the unknown, the fragility of human life in the face of untamed wilderness. From horror films to speculative documentaries, Roanoke has become shorthand for the unsolvable, a blank space on history's map where imagination rushes in to fill the void. Perhaps the most haunting thought isn't what happened to the colonists, but why we're still so obsessed with their fate. Maybe it's because Roanoke represents a primal question. How can an entire chapter of history simply disappear, leaving nothing but whispers? Until someone uncovers definitive proof, the lost colony remains a cautionary tale, not just about the perils of exploration, but about how easily the past can slip through our fingers, leaving us chasing shadows. Off the rugged coast of Nova Scotia lies a small, unassuming island that has fueled treasure hunters' dreams for over 200 years, Oak Island. At its heart, a peculiar shaft known as the Money Pit has lured explorers with promises of untold riches, only to defy every attempt to uncover its secrets. The story begins in 1795, when a teenager named Daniel Maginnis stumbled upon a circular depression in the ground, its edges lined with flagstones and adorned with strange markings. Below, layers of oak logs were buried at precise 10-foot intervals, hinting at something deliberately hidden deep within the earth. Thus began one of history's most obsessive treasure hunts, a saga of engineering feats, tragic accidents, and cryptic clues that still whispers of a fortune just out of reach. Theories about what lies at the bottom of the pit are as wild as they are varied. Some believe it's the lost treasure of Captain Kidd, the infamous pirate who supposedly buried his plunder along North America's eastern shores. Others argue it holds the Holy Grail or even the missing manuscripts of William Shakespeare, smuggled away by secret societies. The most tantalizing clue came in 1803, when workers hit a stone slab inscribed with symbols later translated to read, 40 feet below, 2 million pounds lie buried. But every attempt to dig deeper has been met with disaster. The pit floods mysteriously, its labyrinth of tunnels designed to thwart intruders with seawater rushing in at critical moments. 6 men have died pursuing its secrets, earning the site its grim nickname, the Curse of Oak Island. Modern technology has only deepened the enigma. Sonar scans reveal vast, man-made chambers beneath the island, while core drills have brought up fragments of parchment, coconut fibers impossible in this climate, and even traces of gold. In 2014, a reality TV series documented the discovery of a Spanish copper coin dating to the 1600s, reigniting global fascination. Yet for every hopeful artifact, there are maddening dead ends. The deeper explorers dig, the more the pit seems to fight back, as if guarding its prize with an intelligence of its own. What makes the money pit endure isn't just the allure of treasure, it's the psychological grip of the unsolved. Each generation brings new tools and fresh determination, convinced they'll be the ones to crack the code. Archaeologists now speculate the site might be a complex hydraulic system built by the Knights Templar, a theory supported by strange, triangular stone formations found nearby. But until someone finally breaches the last barrier, the pit remains a riddle wrapped in layers of earth and legend. Perhaps its true power lies not in gold, but in the way it mirrors our own obsession, the human compulsion to keep digging even when the cost outweighs the reward. After all these years, the money pit's greatest treasure might be the mystery itself. Deep in the highlands of Laos, thousands of ancient stone jars lie scattered across the landscape like forgotten chess pieces left behind by giants. The Plain of Jars is exactly what it sounds like, a vast, open stretch of land dotted with massive carved containers, some standing taller than a person and weighing several tons. Dating back over 2,000 years, these megalithic puzzles were hewn from sandstone and granite with astonishing precision, their rims often grooved as if designed to hold lids. But what makes them truly mysterious isn't just their size or craftsmanship. It's the fact that no one knows for certain why they are here, who made them, or what purpose they served. Theories about their origins span the spectrum from the practical to the macabre. Some archaeologists believe they were used for burial rituals, serving as urns to hold human remains. Excavations have uncovered bone fragments, pottery shards, and glass beads inside some jars, supporting the idea that they played a role in ancient funerary practices. Others propose they stored food or fermented beverages for large communal gatherings, a theory bolstered by local legends that speak of a mythical king who hosted grand feasts. Then there's the more haunting possibility that the jars collected rainwater for thirsty travelers along ancient trade routes, a lifeline in a region where dry seasons could mean life or death. Studying these enigmatic artifacts comes with a deadly complication: the lingering threat of unexploded ordnance. During the Vietnam War, Laos became the most heavily bombed country per capita in history, with millions of cluster munitions still buried beneath the soil. Large sections of the Plain of Jars remain inaccessible to researchers, their secrets locked away by the very real danger of stepping on a decades-old bomb. This has forced archaeologists to rely on limited, painstakingly cleared areas, piecing together clues like detectives working a crime scene with half the evidence missing. Modern technology offers glimmers of hope. Ground-penetrating radar and drone surveys have revealed previously unknown jar sites, suggesting the known 300 locations might be just the beginning. Some jars bear carvings of human figures or animals, hinting at a symbolic language we've yet to decipher. And then there's the mystery of the lids. Scattered across the plains are massive stone discs that fit the jar's rims perfectly, yet few have ever been found in place. Were they sealed to protect their contents or removed as part of a ritual? What lingers most about the Plain of Jars is the eerie sense of interrupted time. These weren't abandoned, they were left in active use, their purpose suddenly halted by forces lost to history. Were the creators driven away by war, climate change, or some forgotten catastrophe? Or did their culture evolve, rendering the jars obsolete? For now, the plains keep their silence, the jars standing as stoic sentinels to a past that refuses to give up its secrets. Each one is a question carved in stone, waiting for someone to uncover the answer. Beneath the crystal-clear waters off Japan's Yonaguni Island lies a structure so perplexing it blurs the line between natural wonder and ancient engineering. Known as the Yonaguni Monument, this massive underwater formation stretches nearly 500 feet long, with terraced walls, sharp right angles, and stair-like steps that seem too precise to be the work of chance. Discovered in 1986 by a diver searching for hammerhead shark sightings, the monument has sparked heated debate ever since. Is it the remnant of a lost civilization swallowed by the sea, or simply an extraordinary quirk of geology? Geologists point to the region's frequent seismic activity, arguing that the sandstone formations could have fractured naturally into geometric patterns over millennia. The area sits along tectonic fault lines where shifting plates and erosion might carve uncannily straight edges. But skeptics of this theory highlight features that defy easy explanation: a triangular niche resembling an altar, twin megaliths that appear deliberately placed, and a relief carving some researchers interpret as a stylized human face. Even more compelling are the tool marks reportedly found on certain surfaces, grooves and indentations that look anything but random. Local folklore adds another layer of intrigue. Okinawan legends speak of a sunken city called Mu, a thriving kingdom lost to a catastrophic flood. Could Yonaguni be its physical proof? Supporters of the man-made theory note that similar stepped structures exist in ancient Japanese tombs and temples, suggesting a cultural connection. Underwater archaeologist Robert Skock, who has dived the site extensively, argues that while parts are natural, others show clear signs of human modification, a hybrid of nature and craftsmanship. The mystery deepens when you consider sea level changes. During the last ice age, Yonaguni would have been above water, making it plausible for humans to have built there. But without definitive artifacts, pottery, tools, or inscriptions, the debate remains unresolved. Recent sonar mapping has revealed additional formations nearby, including what looks like a stadium or a ceremonial platform, fueling speculation that the main monument might be part of a larger complex. What makes Yonaguni so captivating isn't just the question of its origin, but what it represents. If human hands shaped these stones, they challenge our timeline of Pacific civilizations, hinting at sophistication long before recorded history. If nature alone is the artist, it's a testament to how effortlessly the Earth can mimic human design. Either way, the monument stands as a silent challenge, daring us to reconsider what we think we know about the past and the hidden stories still waiting beneath the waves. Rising from the barren slopes of Easter Island stand nearly 900 Moai solemn stone giants gazing inland with hollow eyes, their backs turned to the sea. Carved from compressed volcanic ash between the 13th and 16th centuries, these monolithic statues average 13 feet tall and weigh 14 tons each, with the largest stretching over 30 feet and tipping the scales at 82 tons. But what stuns archaeologists isn't just their size, it's the sheer audacity of their creation. With no metal tools, wheels, or draft animals, the Rapa Nui people quarried these figures from the rock of Roanoke crater, chiseling them free with basalt stone picks before transporting them miles across rugged terrain to ceremonial platforms called ahu. The how of their journey has fueled debates for decades. One prevailing theory involves a technique called walking the moai, using ropes to rock the statue side to side in a controlled shuffle, a method demonstrated in experiments that successfully moved replicas short distances. Others suggest log rollers or wooden sledges greased with sweet potato pulp to reduce friction. But the most haunting question isn't technical, it's cultural. Why did the Rapa Nui invest so much labor in these figures? The answer may lie in their belief system. Moai weren't just art, they were vessels for ancestral spirits, their power channeled through inlaid coral eyes to protect the living. Each statue represented a lineage chief, their presence ensuring fertility and stability for the island's clans. This spiritual drive came at a devastating cost. To transport the moai, the island's once lush palm forests were cleared for timber, triggering catastrophic soil erosion. By the 17th century, ecological collapse had set in, crops failed, clans warred over dwindling resources, and the statue cult crumbled. But recent discoveries complicate this narrative. Analysis of obsidian tools reveals the Rapa Nui ingeniously adapted, shifting to rock gardens and sustainable fishing as the land degraded. The real tragedy may not have been self-destruction, but the arrival of European slavers in the 18th century, who decimated the population and erased oral histories that could have explained the moai's secrets. Modern archaeology peels back layers of this mystery. Broken moai along ancient roads suggest transportation accidents, while toppled statues hint at ritual dismantling during civil strife. Some Ahu platforms align with solstice sunrises, revealing astronomical sophistication. And then there's the enigma of the hat's red cylindrical pukao stones placed atop certain moai, possibly representing chieftain hairstyles. How these multi-ton caps were lifted without cranes remains unsolved. The moai's silent vigil raises profound questions about human ambition and resilience. Were they monuments to a civilization's brilliance or warnings of its limits? Easter Island's story isn't just one of collapse, it's a testament to how cultures transform under pressure, leaving behind puzzles that outlast them. As we study these weathered faces, we're reminded that the greatest mysteries aren't carved in stone, they're etched in the choices of those who came before us. Tucked in Rajasthan's rugged Aravalli hills, the crumbling walls of Bhangarh Fort tell a story steeped in dread, one so potent the Archaeological Survey of India has banned visitors after sunset. Built in the 17th century, this sprawling complex was once a thriving kingdom, its palaces and temples buzzing with life. Today, it stands abandoned, its ruins wrapped in legends so chilling even the bravest explorers hesitate to cross its threshold at night. The curse's origin twists through two eerie tales. The most famous blames a sorcerer named Singhia, who fell obsessively in love with the Princess Ratnavati. Legend claims he enchanted her perfume to bend her will, but the princess, sensing his dark magic, smashed the vial onto a boulder, which rolled onto Singhia, crushing him. With his dying breath, he cursed the entire fort to ruin, dooming its inhabitants to death without rebirth. Within a year, Bhangarh was allegedly sacked in a brutal invasion, its streets littered with corpses. The other version points to a hermit whose home stood where the fort was built. He permitted construction only if the shadow of the palace never touched his dwelling, a condition broken when a successor king arrogantly raised the walls. The hermit's subsequent curse, they say, sealed Bhangarh's fate. What makes these stories more than campfire tales are the persistent reports from those who have dared to test the warnings. Locals swear disembodied voices echo through the empty courtyards after dark, shadowy figures dart across broken rooftops, and an unnatural chill lingers even in the desert heat. Photographers claim their equipment fails inexplicably within the fort's boundaries, while others tell of an invisible force pushing them toward the exit as the sun dips below the horizon. The government takes these accounts seriously enough to post guards who patrol the perimeter at night, turning away anyone foolish enough to linger. Archaeologists offer drier explanations. Structural instability makes night visits dangerous, and the fort's acoustics might amplify natural sounds into something unnerving. Yet even skeptics admit Bhangarh's energy feels different. Perhaps it's the weight of history, the collective belief in its curse, or something far older whispering through its stones. Whatever the truth, this fort stands as a rare place where myth and policy collide, where the past doesn't just haunt, it enforces its own rules. To walk Bhangarh's ruins by daylight is to feel the tension between beauty and unease. Vibrant frescoes still cling to decaying walls, while temples to Gopinath and Samj hint at the spiritual life that once flourished here. but as shadows lengthen, even the most rational minds quicken their steps toward the gate. Whether cursed or merely misunderstood, Bhangarh's power lies in its refusal to be just another ruin. It's a place where history doesn't sleep, it watches. Buried beneath the dusty hills of southeastern Turkey lies a discovery that shattered everything we thought we knew about early human civilization, Göbekli Tepe. This sprawling temple complex, dating back an astonishing 11,600 years, predates Stonehenge by 6 millennia and the Great Pyramids by 7. Unearthed in the 1990s by German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt, the site consists of massive circular structures supported by intricately carved T-shaped limestone pillars, some weighing over 20 tons and towering 16 feet high. What makes Göbekli Tepe revolutionary isn't just its age, it's the fact that it defies the conventional timeline of human progress. According to traditional archaeology, complex religious structures like this should have emerged only after humans settled into farming communities. But Göbekli Tepe was built by hunter-gatherers, people who hadn't yet domesticated animals or cultivated crops. This flips the script on history. Did organized religion drive the invention of agriculture rather than the other way around? The craftsmanship of the pillars hints at a sophistication that shouldn't exist for its time. Many are adorned with bas-reliefs of animals, scorpions, lions, foxes, and vultures, rendered with such detail that they seem to pulse with life. Some researchers believe these carvings aren't merely decorative but tell a story, perhaps a proto-writing system or a celestial map. Even more intriguing are the abstract symbols found on certain pillars, including repetitive, H-shaped carvings and crescent moons that recur across multiple structures. Could these be early attempts at recording knowledge, or do they hold some ritual significance lost to time? The layout of the site adds another layer of mystery. The circles aren't randomly placed, they align with specific astronomical events, suggesting their builders had an advanced understanding of the stars millennia before the advent of formal astronomy. Then there's the puzzle of its burial. Around 8000 BCE, Göbekli Tepe was deliberately buried under thousands of tons of soil, as if someone wanted to preserve or hide it. Schmidt theorized this might have been part of a ritual retirement of sacred spaces, but others speculate it was an act of protection against invaders or even a cataclysmic event. The soil itself is eerily sterile, lacking the usual debris of human habitation, which raises a haunting question. Was this a place where people gathered only for ceremonies, a sacred ground separate from daily life? The implications of Göbekli Tepe ripple far beyond archaeology. If hunter-gatherers could organize enough labor to build such a monument, their societies were far more complex than we ever imagined. It challenges the assumption that material surplus like stored grain was necessary for large-scale projects. Maybe belief was the real catalyst, the glue that bound communities together to achieve the impossible. Recent discoveries in the region hint that Göbekli Tepe wasn't alone. Similar, smaller sites dot the landscape, suggesting a network of ritual centers across ancient Anatolia. What lingers most about this site isn't just the unanswered questions, it's the unsettling realization that we've barely scratched the surface of our own past. Every new dig at Göbekli Tepe peels back another layer of mystery, each more bewildering than the last. Were these pillars the work of a forgotten cult, a prehistoric school of stonemasons, or something else entirely? The stones refuse to speak, but their silence echoes with possibilities, reminding us that history isn't a straight line, it's a maze, and we've only just begun to explore its twists. In February 1959, a group of experienced hikers trekked into the snowbound Ural Mountains on a routine expedition. But what happened next would morph into one of history's most chilling enigmas. When rescuers finally reached Dyatlov Pass weeks later, they found the team's tent ripped open from the inside as if the occupants had fled in terror. The searchers then made a series of grim discoveries. bodies scattered across the slope, some clad only in socks or undergarments despite sub-zero temperatures. One victim had a fractured skull, another a crushed chest, and several bore strange injuries, including missing tongues and eyes. Even more unsettling, some of their clothing showed traces of radiation. The official investigation closed the case as death by an unknown compelling force, a phrase that only deepened the mystery. Experts have spent decades piecing together plausible explanations. The most widely accepted theory points to a slab avalanche, which could explain the chest trauma and the frantic escape hikers cutting their way out of the tent to avoid suffocation. But skeptics note the slope wasn't steep enough for a typical avalanche, and no significant snowfall was recorded that night. Another scientific hypothesis involves rare wind patterns called katabatic gusts, which can produce hurricane-force downdrafts capable of tossing people like rag dolls and distorting their perception, prompting irrational behavior. Then there are the more unconventional theories. Conspiracists point to Cold War-era weapons testing, citing the radiation traces and reports of strange orange spheres in the sky that night. Others whisper of infrasound, low-frequency sound waves from geological activity that can induce panic attacks or even cardiac arrest. And of course, there are those who venture into paranormal territory, suggesting encounters with yetis or even extraterrestrial forces. What makes Dyatlov Pass uniquely haunting isn't just the unanswered questions, it's the eerie details that resist any tidy explanation. Why were some victims' clothes found neatly folded, as if removed deliberately in the freezing dark? How did traces of burned skin appear on bodies with no signs of fire nearby? Modern computer modeling and forensic techniques have shed light on some aspects, but the full truth remains buried under layers of ice and speculation. At its core, the Dyatlov incident taps into something primal, the fear of the wild, the vulnerability of even the most prepared among us when nature, or something beyond it, decides to bare its teeth. Perhaps that's why this case endures, a stark reminder that some mysteries refuse to stay solved, no matter how many theories we stack against them. Rising from the grasslands of southern Africa, the stone towers of Great Zimbabwe stand as a silent testament to a civilization lost to time. This sprawling complex of granite walls and conical structures stretches across nearly 1,800 acres, its most iconic feature being the Great Enclosure, a towering circular wall 30 feet high and 17 feet thick at the base, built without mortar yet so precise that not even a blade of grass can slip between its stones. Dating back to the 11th century, this city was once the heart of a thriving kingdom, its wealth built on trade routes stretching as far as China and the Arabian Peninsula. But what makes Great Zimbabwe truly extraordinary isn't just its scale. It's the way it shatters colonial myths about Africa's pre-colonial past. For decades, European explorers refused to believe Africans could have constructed such sophistication, attributing the ruins to biblical figures like the Queen of Sheba or Phoenician traders. It wasn't until the 20th century that archaeology confirmed the truth. Great Zimbabwe was the work of the Shona people, a Bantu-speaking civilization whose mastery of stonemasonry and urban planning rivaled anything in medieval Europe. The city's layout reveals a keen understanding of social hierarchy, with the hill complex likely serving as a royal palace, the valley complex housing artisans and traders, and the Great Enclosure possibly functioning as a ceremonial space or elite residence. The real mystery lies in its abandonment. By the 15th century, Great Zimbabwe was empty, its people gone. Some researchers point to overgrazing and deforestation, which could have depleted the land's resources. Others suggest a shift in trade routes, as gold from rival kingdoms drew merchants elsewhere. But the most poignant theory involves climate change. Tree ring data indicates a prolonged drought during this period, one severe enough to destabilize even the most prosperous societies. The Shona didn't disappear, they adapted, migrating to new lands and leaving behind a city that would become a symbol of resilience. modern excavations continue to uncover surprises. Chinese porcelain fragments, Arabian glass beads, and even a Persian ceremonial bowl confirm Great Zimbabwe's role as a global trading hub. The discovery of soapstone carvings of birds, now Zimbabwe's national emblem, hints at a spiritual connection between the people and their environment. Yet for all we've learned, the ruins guard their secrets closely. Why did they choose dry stone construction over mortar, a technique so durable it's withstood 8 centuries of weathering? What rituals took place within the enclosure's hidden chambers? Great Zimbabwe's legacy isn't just in its stones, it's in the way it challenges us to rethink history's biases. Here was a civilization that flourished without outside influence, its achievements standing as proof that innovation knows no geographic boundaries. As the wind whispers through the empty passageways, it carries a question: how many other stories have been overlooked, waiting for someone to listen? Among the 7 wonders of the ancient world, none sparks more debate than the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, a lush, terraced paradise said to have soared above the Mesopotamian desert. Ancient texts describe an engineering marvel, trees and flowers cascading down towering stone terraces, irrigated by an intricate system of screws and pumps drawing water from the Euphrates River. Greek historians like Strabo and Diodorus Siculus painted vivid pictures of its beauty, crediting King Nebuchadnezzar II with its construction around 600 BCE as a gift to his homesick wife Amytis. But here's the twist: no physical evidence of the gardens has ever been found in Babylon, leaving historians to wonder, were they real or merely the stuff of legend? Archaeologists face a maze of contradictions. The most detailed accounts come from Greek writers centuries after the gardens supposedly existed, raising questions about their accuracy. Meanwhile, Babylonian records from Nebuchadnezzar's reign make no mention of the gardens at all. Excavations at Babylon's ruins, now in modern-day Iraq, have uncovered massive walls, the Ishtar Gate, and even an elaborate hydraulic system, but nothing matching the descriptions of terraced gardens. Some scholars argue the gardens might have been conflated with another site entirely. Ancient Nineveh, for instance, boasts reliefs of lush royal gardens with advanced irrigation, built by King Sennacherib a century earlier. Could later historians have confused the two cities? Modern theories stretch from misidentification to outright myth-making. One compelling hypothesis suggests the gardens weren't hanging in the sense of suspended terraces, but rather overhanging, with plants spilling from balconies, a style common in Mesopotamian architecture. Others propose they were destroyed so completely by earthquakes or erosion that no trace remains. Then there's the radical idea that the gardens never existed as a single structure, but were a composite of poetic exaggerations about Babylon's famed greenery. The mystery endures because it challenges how we distinguish history from legend. If the gardens were real, their absence from the archaeological record suggests even the grandest human achievements can vanish without a trace. If they're mythical, their persistence in collective memory reveals just how powerfully stories shape our understanding of the past. Either way, the Hanging Gardens remind us that wonder isn't always about what we can prove. Sometimes it's about what we dare to imagine. In the quiet suburbs of Homestead, Florida, stands a peculiar monument that defies logic, a sprawling complex of massive coral blocks intricately carved and balanced with impossible precision. This is the Coral Castle, the life's work of a single man, Edward Leedskalnin, a 5-foot-tall, 100-pound Latvian immigrant who claimed to have unlocked the secrets of the ancient Egyptians. Between 1923 and 1951, Leedskalnin single-handedly quarried, sculpted, and arranged over 1,000 tons of oolite limestone, creating walls, furniture, and even a functioning gate so perfectly balanced a child could push it open with a finger. How did he do it? The answer remains one of the most baffling engineering mysteries of the modern era. Leedskalnin was famously secretive, working mostly at night by lantern light and refusing to let anyone witness his methods. When pressed, he'd cryptically say he'd discovered how the pyramids were built, hinting at a lost knowledge of anti-gravity or magnetic forces. Some of his creations border on the impossible. A 9-ton gate rotating on a metal rod with no bearings, a 25-foot-tall obelisk, and a rocking chair carved from a single block of stone. Eyewitness accounts only deepen the mystery. Neighbors reported seeing him float the massive blocks through the air like balloons, while others swore his tools, little more than makeshift chains and pulleys, seemed too primitive to explain his feats. Scientists and skeptics have scrambled to debunk the myths. One theory suggests Leedskalnin used a system of counterweights and fulcrums to manipulate the stones, a technique that would still require superhuman precision. Others propose he might have harnessed the limestone's natural properties, softening it with acetic acid or even electromagnetism. His workshop was littered with car batteries and strange electrical devices. But the most compelling clue might lie in his writings. Leedskalnin penned a series of pamphlets riddled with references to perpetual motion holders and cosmic energy, suggesting he believed in a hidden force governing the universe. The Coral Castle's allure isn't just in its construction, it's in the romance of the story behind it. Leedskalnin built the entire monument as a tribute to his lost love, a Latvian woman named Agnes who jilted him the day before their wedding. Heartbroken, he moved halfway across the world and spent nearly 3 decades carving his grief into stone, even including a heart-shaped table with a flower vase always pointing toward her homeland. Whether his methods were supernatural or simply ingenious, the Coral Castle stands as a testament to human obsession, a place where heartbreak and mystery merge into something astonishing. Visitors today still feel the weight of its enigma. The park's guides often demonstrate the perfectly balanced gate, which hasn't needed adjustment in decades. Engineers have disassembled and reassembled it with modern tools, yet no one can replicate its seamless motion. Leedskalnin took his secrets to the grave, leaving behind only a riddle carved into a wall. You will be seeing unusual accomplishment. Whether he was a misunderstood genius or a man who stumbled onto something science can't yet explain, one thing's certain: the Coral Castle refuses to give up its mysteries. It's a monument not just to lost love, but to the tantalizing idea that some truths, like the stones themselves, are too heavy for time to move. Deep in the uncharted Amazon, where even modern satellites struggle to pierce the dense canopy, lies one of exploration's greatest riddles, the lost city of Z. British adventurer Percy Fawcett became obsessed with finding it, convinced that a sophisticated civilization once thrived beneath those emerald shadows. In 1925, he led his final expedition into the jungle, armed with cryptic clues from ancient manuscripts and indigenous accounts of stone ruins glittering with gold. Neither he, his son, nor their companion ever returned. Their disappearance sparked a century of speculation, drawing over 100 would-be rescuers to their fate, many of whom vanished themselves, earning the region its grim nickname, the Green Hell. But what if Fawcett wasn't chasing a myth after all? Recent archaeological breakthroughs suggest he might have been closer to the truth than anyone imagined. In 2018, LiDAR technology revealed sprawling networks of ancient roads and plazas hidden beneath the Amazon's foliage, evidence of the very kind of complex society Fawcett envisioned. Near the upper Xingu River, researchers uncovered fortified villages with advanced agricultural systems, some dating back over 400 years before European contact. These weren't isolated tribes, but interconnected settlements supporting thousands, complete with moats, palisades, and even astronomical alignments. The discovery of dark earth, fertile soil engineered by pre-Columbian peoples further debunks the old narrative of an untouched wilderness, revealing an Amazon sculpted by human hands long before modern deforestation. Fawcett's own clues now seem startlingly prescient. He'd written of a city marked by a towering stone statue at the crossroads of two rivers, a description matching newly found petroglyphs near the Tapajo's tributary. Indigenous oral histories, once dismissed as folklore, speak of a place where the sun rests, a ceremonial center now mirrored in the LiDAR scan's geometric patterns. Even Fawcett's supposed obsession with El Dorado takes on new light. The Muisca people's gold rituals in Colombia, once thought unrelated, now appear part of a broader cultural tapestry spanning the continent. Yet the jungle hasn't surrendered all its secrets. Fawcett's last known coordinates remain a puzzle, his final letter referencing a portal guarded by hostile tribes. Some believe he stumbled upon something far older than even the recent discoveries, a relic of the mythical Hyperborea or a gateway to Agartha, the hollow earth theory he secretly subscribed to. Others argue he fell victim to malaria, jaguars, or one of the Amazon's uncontacted groups. The truth may lie in an unmarked grave, or perhaps in the very ruins he sought, still waiting beneath vines and silence. What makes the lost city of Z resonate isn't just the mystery of Fawcett's fate, it's the way his story forces us to confront our arrogance about the past. For centuries, Western scholars dismissed the idea of Amazonian cities as fantasy, projecting their biases onto a landscape they barely understood. Now, as LiDAR peels back the green veil, we're left to wonder how many other Percy Fawcetts were right all along, their voices swallowed by time and skepticism. The Amazon, it seems, wasn't empty, just patient, biding its time until we were ready to listen. East of Japan, in the Pacific's restless waters, lies a stretch of ocean so feared that sailors have long dubbed it the Devil's Sea. Like its Atlantic counterpart, the Bermuda Triangle, this region bounded by Japan, the Bonin Islands, and the Marianas has been blamed for vanishing ships, inexplicable equipment failures, and eerie encounters since the 14th century. Ancient Japanese fishermen spoke of phantom fires flickering on the horizon, while post-war records detail entire vessels disappearing without distress signals. The most infamous incident occurred in 1952 when the research ship Kayo Maru 5, sent to investigate the phenomenon, itself vanished with 31 crew members aboard, leaving behind nothing but unanswerable questions. But what separates the Devil's Sea from other maritime mysteries isn't just its reputation, it's the way science and superstition collide in its churning depths. Geographically, the area sits atop one of the most volatile tectonic zones on Earth, where the Pacific Plate grinds against the Philippine Sea Plate. This friction creates not just frequent earthquakes but underwater volcanoes and methane hydrate deposits that could theoretically destabilize ships. Unlike the Bermuda Triangle's relatively shallow waters, the Devil's Sea plunges into the 7-mile, deep Izu-Ogasawara Trench, a graveyard where sunken vessels might never be found. Add to this the region's sudden typhoons and rogue waves, and you have a natural recipe for disaster. No supernatural forces required, yet legends persist. Some point to UFO sightings documented by Japanese military pilots, while folklore describes a lost kingdom beneath the waves, its temples said to snare ships like a siren's call. Even today, fishermen avoid certain coordinates, whispering of compasses spinning wildly and radios filling with static. But when scientists from the University of Tokyo mapped the seabed in 2016, they found no alien bases or ancient ruins, just the expected chaos of hydrothermal vents and tectonic shifts. The Kayo Maru 5's fate, most likely a catastrophic volcanic eruption, its wreckage swallowed by the same geological forces that shaped the region. What makes the Devil's Sea fascinating isn't the myths themselves, but why we cling to them. In an age of satellite tracking and sonar, the ocean remains one of the last places where humanity confronts the limits of its control. When ships vanish here, it's easier to blame dragons or portals than to accept nature's indifference. But perhaps the truth is stranger than fiction, a place where reality, with its quaking seabeds and liquid mountains, is dramatic enough. The Devil's Sea doesn't need ghosts to be terrifying. It has the earth itself, restless and relentless, reminding us how small we really are. The Shroud of Turin rests in the dim light of its specially designed reliquary, a 14-foot-long linen cloth that bears the faint imprint of a man's face and body, marks eerily consistent with the wounds of crucifixion. For centuries, this relic has been venerated by many as the burial shroud of Jesus Christ, a tangible connection to one of history's most pivotal moments. Yet, despite decades of scientific scrutiny, the shroud remains one of the most hotly debated artifacts in existence, a puzzle where faith, science, and mystery collide with no resolution in sight. At the heart of the controversy lies the shroud's baffling image. Unlike any known painting or pigment, the figure appears as a subtle, straw-yellow discoloration on the linen fibers, with no traces of brushstrokes or dyes. Studies suggest the coloration results from a chemical change in the cloth's outermost layers, as if the fibers were rapidly aged by some unknown force. Even more perplexing is the image's three-dimensional properties when analyzed by NASA engineers in the 1970s. They found it contained spatial data akin to a photographic negative, a feature impossible to replicate with medieval artistry. The wounds match biblical accounts with chilling precision: puncture marks at the wrists and feet, lacerations from scourging, and a lance wound near the rib cage. Skeptics argue these details could have been sourced from gospel texts, but the shroud also reveals lesser-known nuances like thumbless hands, a detail consistent with crucifixion victims whose median nerves, when pierced, would cause the thumbs to retract inward. Then there's the carbon dating debacle. In 1988, 3 independent labs dated a small sample of the shroud to between 1260 and 1390 CE, seemingly debunking its authenticity as a first-century relic. But critics quickly dismantled those findings. The sample came from a medieval-era patch, a section damaged by fire and rewoven by nuns centuries later, contamination that skewed results. More recent chemical analyses tell a different story. Tests on pollen grains trapped in the fabric link the shroud to ancient Jerusalem, with traces of plants unique to the Dead Sea region. Microscopic flecks of limestone, matching the geology of first-century Judea, cling stubbornly to its fibers. Even stranger, forensic pathologists note the bloodstains contain high levels of bilirubin, a compound released under extreme trauma, and show no signs of artistic tampering. The shroud's defenders point to another enigma: how the image formed at all. Experiments with ultraviolet radiation, static electricity, and even volcanic ash have failed to replicate its unique properties. One radical theory suggests a burst of radiant energy, perhaps linked to the resurrection, might have scorched the cloth like a flash photograph. Others propose it was created using an ancient technique involving myrrh and aloes, herbs mentioned in biblical burial rites that could react with linen over time. But no hypothesis fully explains the depth, precision, and absence of pigments. What makes the shroud endure as more than a religious artifact is its refusal to fit neatly into any category. For believers, it's a divine imprint, a silent witness to suffering and transcendence. For scientists, it's a riddle that defies known methods of image-making. And for historians, it's a medieval curiosity with inexplicable anachronisms. Perhaps its true power lies not in proving or disproving faith, but in the questions it forces us to confront about the limits of science, the nature of evidence, and the human longing for connection with the sacred. The shroud doesn't offer answers. It holds up a mirror, asking us to consider why we search so desperately for certainty in the first place. Rising from a quiet field in Elbert County, Georgia, the Georgia Guidestones stood as one of modern history's most cryptic monuments, a cluster of granite slabs inscribed with 10 directives for humanity in 8 languages, their origins as mysterious as their abrupt destruction. Erected in 1980 under the pseudonym R.C. Christian, the Guidestones' true patron remains unknown, though their message was clear: a blueprint for rebuilding civilization after catastrophe. The slabs, each weighing over 20 tons, were arranged with astronomical precision, one aligned with the North Star, another marking the solstices and equinoxes, suggesting their creators saw them as more than mere instructions. But what began as a curiosity soon became a lightning rod for conspiracy theories, drawing everything from doomsday cults to anti-government protesters, until their shocking demolition in 2022 left only questions in the rubble. The Guidestones commandments read like a manifesto for a new age: maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature, guide reproduction wisely, and avoid petty laws and useless officials. To some, these were sage warnings about overpopulation and environmental collapse. To others, they smacked of elitism or even eugenics, fueling rumors of a shadowy globalist agenda. The stones' insistence on a single global language and court of justice only deepened suspicions, with detractors accusing unknown benefactors of plotting population control. The anonymity of R.C. Christian added fuel to the fire. Who had the resources to commission such a monument, and why hide behind a name echoing the secretive Rosicrucian order? Even the choice of languages, English, Spanish, Swahili, Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, Chinese, and Russian, felt deliberate, a nod to future power blocks. Then came the explosions. In the pre-dawn hours of July 6, 2022, security cameras captured a blast, reducing part of the structure to gravel. Authorities later deemed it an act of vandalism, but the timing was uncanny. Just months after the local government voted to remove the stones following years of protests and vandalism. The destruction split public opinion. Some celebrated the downfall of what they saw as a monument to tyranny, while preservationists mourned the loss of a puzzle begging to be solved. The surviving fragments, now stored in secrecy, offer few clues. Only one relic remains on site: a small plaque reiterating the Guidestones' purpose as a compass, calendar, and clock, but omitting any mention of who placed it there. What lingers isn't just the mystery of R.C. Christian's identity, but the uneasy relevance of the stone's warnings. In an era of climate crises and political fracturing, their call for balance feels alternately prophetic and perilous. Were they a genuine attempt to steer humanity away from disaster, or the vanity project of a wealthy recluse playing prophet? The Guidestones' power lay in their ambiguity, a Rorschach test in granite, reflecting our deepest fears and hopes for the future. Now, with the slabs gone, their legacy lives on in the debates they ignited. Who gets to dictate the rules of survival? And in a world teetering on the edge, does their abrupt erasure silence a warning or bury a threat? The field where they once stood is emptier, but the questions loom larger than ever. High in the Bolivian Andes, near the shores of Lake Titicaca, a field of shattered stone lies scattered like the wreckage of some cosmic accident. This is Puma Punku, a name meaning Gate of the Puma in the local Aymara language, and its ruins are unlike anything else on Earth. The blocks here, some weighing over 100 tons, have been sliced with such geometric precision that they resemble the work of a laser-guided machine shop, not the crude tools of an ancient civilization. Sharp right angles, interlocking grooves, and drill holes so perfect they could only have been made with industrial-grade bits. These stones defy explanation, challenging everything we think we know about the capabilities of their builders. Who crafted Puma Punku? The conventional answer points to the Tiwanaku culture, which thrived here between 500 and 1000 CE, but even this attribution feels shaky. The Tiwanaku left no written records, and their known technology, copper chisels, stone hammers, seems woefully inadequate for the task. The andesite and granite blocks at Puma Punku are harder than steel, yet they've been cut with surfaces so smooth they reflect light like glass. Some slabs feature intricate notches and tabs that slot together like Lego bricks, a technique requiring millimeter-perfect accuracy. Modern engineers struggle to replicate these feats without computer-aided design, raising the unnerving question: did someone, long before the Tiwanaku, possess knowledge we've since forgotten? Theories about Puma Punku's construction range from the plausible to the fantastical. One camp argues the builders used a combination of abrasives, quartz, sand, and water to slowly grind the stones into shape, a process that would demand generations of painstaking labor. Others point to evidence of vitrification, a process where extreme heat fuses rock into near ceramic smoothness, suggesting the use of lost techniques akin to modern machining. Then there are the more radical ideas, ancient acoustics that could soften stone, or even extraterrestrial intervention, fueled by the site's alignment with celestial events and its resemblance to modular architecture found in sci-fi. Perhaps the most haunting aspect of Puma Punku isn't the stones themselves, but their current state. The site looks less like a ruin and more like a demolition zone, as if some cataclysmic force, an earthquake. A plasma burst shattered the complex in an instant. Blocks that once fit together seamlessly now lie strewn like toy blocks, their edges still crisp despite centuries of exposure. Local legends speak of a great noise and a fire from the sky that reduced the site to rubble, echoes of a disaster that might have erased the very people who understood its secrets. What lingers at Puma Punku is the uneasy sense of a puzzle missing its key. If this was a temple, why does its design resemble a technical blueprint more than a sacred space? If it was a workshop, what were they building? The stones refused to yield their answers, standing as silent witnesses to a chapter of history we're only beginning to imagine. Walking among them, you can't help but wonder, were these the work of human hands at all, or the fingerprints of something, or someone far beyond our understanding? The gate of the Puma remains closed, but the questions it guards are louder than ever. On a calm December morning in 1872, the crew of the British brigantine Dei Gratia spotted a ship drifting aimlessly near the Azores. As they drew closer, they recognized the Mary Celeste, a fully seaworthy vessel with sails half set, cargo intact, and lifeboat missing. But when they boarded, they found no trace of the 10 people who had been aboard just weeks earlier. No signs of struggle, no water damage, and enough food and supplies to last months. The ship's logbook lay open with its final entry dated 10 days prior, noting nothing unusual. Even the captain's pipe and tobacco were left behind, as if the crew had simply stepped away for a moment. This wasn't just any abandoned ship, it was a ghost vessel, and its mystery would haunt maritime history for over a century. Experts have dissected every possible explanation, yet none fully satisfy. The most plausible theory involves an alcohol spill. The Mary Celeste was carrying 1,700 barrels of industrial alcohol, and fumes from a leaking barrel could have created an explosion risk. Captain Benjamin Briggs, an experienced mariner, might have ordered everyone into the lifeboat as a precaution, only for the ropes to snap in a sudden gust, leaving them adrift. Others point to underwater earthquakes common in the region, which could have released bubbles of methane gas, temporarily disabling the ship's instruments and terrifying the crew into abandoning ship. There's even evidence of a crude distress device, an improvised sounding rod found on deck, suggesting they feared taking on water despite no visible damage. But skeptics highlight glaring holes in these theories. If fumes were the issue, why didn't the crew return when no explosion occurred? Methane would have dissipated quickly, making their panic fleeting. And why were personal items like the captain's watch and the crew's boots left behind? More outlandish theories, pirates, sea monsters, or even paranormal abductions persist because the mundane explanations feel incomplete. Even the Dei Gratia's crew reported an eerie atmosphere, as if the ship itself carried some unspoken dread. What makes the Mary Celeste endure isn't just the unresolved mystery, it's how it exposes our need for tidy endings. The sea has always been a place of uncertainty, where rational men make irrational choices in the face of the unknown. perhaps the truth lies in a combination of factors: a minor leak, a momentary lapse in judgment, and the cruel whims of the ocean. Or perhaps, like all great enigmas, the Mary Celeste's power lies in its refusal to be solved. A ghost ship doesn't need answers to haunt us, just the whisper of what might have been. Diving to the wreckage of a Roman ship off the Greek island of Antikythera in 1901, sponge hunters stumbled upon an object that would rewrite history: a corroded bronze lump barely recognizable beneath centuries of marine growth. But when archaeologists painstakingly cleaned it, they uncovered gears, dozens of interlocking bronze gears arranged in a complex, clockwork-like mechanism. Dubbed the Antikythera Mechanism, this 2,000-year-old device has been called the world's first analog computer, a masterpiece of engineering so advanced it wouldn't be matched for over a millennium. The craftsmanship alone is staggering. X-ray imaging reveals at least 37 precisely cut gears, some with teeth so tiny they resemble the workings of a modern wristwatch. These weren't crude approximations, they were mathematically precise, with gear ratios corresponding to astronomical cycles like the Saros eclipse cycle and the Metonic lunar calendar. The front face likely displayed the positions of the Sun, Moon, and 5 known planets, while inscriptions served as a user manual for predicting celestial events. Imagine a handheld planetarium capable of forecasting eclipses decades in advance or tracking the 4-year cycle of the ancient Olympic Games, all without electricity, all powered by a single hand crank. What truly baffles historians isn't just its complexity, but its isolation. Nothing resembling the Antikythera Mechanism appears in the archaeological record until 14th century European clock towers. How did this level of technology emerge in the 1st century BCE, only to vanish for over 1,000 years? Some scholars believe it was the work of Hipparchus, the father of trigonometry, or perhaps a disciple of Archimedes, whose lost writings hinted at similar devices. Others speculate it came from the workshop of Rhodes, a hub of ancient engineering where automatons and mechanical wonders were crafted for wealthy patrons. The mechanism's purpose reveals just how sophisticated ancient Greek science really was. This wasn't just a toy for the elite, it was a tool for navigation, agriculture, and religious observance. Farmers could consult it to time plantings with lunar phases, sailors to navigate by planetary alignments, and priests to schedule rituals around celestial omens. The inscriptions even include corrections for the irregular orbits of planets, proving the Greeks understood celestial mechanics far better than we once thought. Yet the Antikythera Mechanism's greatest mystery might be how much we've underestimated the past. For centuries, historians assumed the ancients lacked the ingenuity for such devices, dismissing legends of Archimedes' mechanical planetariums as exaggerations. But here, preserved in saltwater and time, was incontrovertible proof of a lost technological golden age. Every gear whispers the same unsettling question: how many other breakthroughs were swallowed by history, leaving us to rediscover centuries later what they already knew? Modern reconstructions hum with eerie precision, their brass components turning in perfect harmony with the cosmos, just as their creators intended. Holding one feels like gripping a message in a bottle from antiquity, a reminder that genius isn't linear, it flickers across ages, sometimes buried but never truly extinguished. The Antikythera Mechanism doesn't just challenge our timeline of innovation, it dares us to wonder what else might be waiting in the shadows of history, ready to append everything we thought we knew. On the morning of June 30th, 1908, a blinding flash lit up the sky over the remote forests of Siberia, followed by an explosion so powerful it flattened 80 million trees across 800 square miles. The Tunguska event, named for the nearby Podkaimanaia Tunguska River, remains the largest recorded impact event in human history, yet over a century later, we still don't know exactly what caused it. Witnesses described a fireball streaking across the horizon, a shockwave that threw people off their feet hundreds of miles away, and nights so bright across Europe that you could read a newspaper outdoors. But when scientists finally reached the epicenter 19 years later, they found no crater, no meteorite fragments, just a radial pattern of scorched, flattened trees pointing ominously outward from ground zero. The leading theory suggests a stony asteroid or comet fragment exploded in midair, vaporizing before it could hit the ground. Calculations estimate the blast released energy equivalent to 10 to 15 megatons of TNT, nearly 1,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. The absence of an impact crater supports this idea, as does the discovery of microscopic silicate and magnetite spheres in the soil, which could be remnants of a vaporized space rock. But skeptics point to oddities that don't fit. No traces of iridium, a telltale sign of extraterrestrial impacts, reports of strange luminescent clouds for days afterward, and seismic readings that don't fully align with known asteroid explosions. This ambiguity has fueled wilder speculation. Could it have been a rogue fragment of antimatter annihilating itself in the atmosphere, a black hole passing through Earth? Some even proposed Tesla's wireless energy experiments might have gone catastrophically awry, though there's no evidence the inventor was testing anything remotely powerful enough. The most compelling alternative theory involves a methane gas explosion from deep within the Siberian permafrost, but this fails to explain the fiery object witnessed in the sky. What makes Tunguska so captivating isn't just the scientific puzzle, it's the chilling reminder of our vulnerability. Had the explosion occurred just 4 hours later, Earth's rotation would have placed St. Petersburg or London in its crosshairs, potentially wiping out entire cities. Modern asteroid tracking systems exist largely because of Tunguska, a wake-up call about existential threats from space. Yet even with today's technology, we might not see the next one coming. The universe has a way of humbling us, and Tunguska stands as a monument to that humbling, an event so vast, so inexplicable, that it refuses to be neatly categorized. The trees still lie where they fell, a silent testament to the day the sky roared. From the sunken ruins of Yonaguni to the eerie silence of Dyatlov Pass, these 25 locations remind us that history isn't just a record of what we know, it's a frontier of what we don't. Each site we've explored today is a testament to human curiosity, a puzzle left behind by those who came before us, daring us to piece together their stories. Some of these enigmas may eventually yield to science, others might forever linger in the realm of speculation, but that's the thrill of it, isn't it? The past doesn't just hand us answers, it whispers riddles, inviting us to dig deeper, question further, and sometimes to simply marvel at the unknown. Think about it, every crumbling wall, every cryptic inscription, every artifact out of place is a conversation starter across time. Whether it's the precision of Puma Punku's stones or the vanishing act of the Mary Celeste's crew, these mysteries connect us to the endless human quest for understanding. They challenge our assumptions, push the boundaries of archaeology, and occasionally force us to rewrite history books. And while experts may debate the details, one thing's certain: these places aren't just dots on a map. They're echoes of lost civilizations, unsung genius, and sometimes sheer unexplained wonder. Now we want to hear from you. Which of these locations captured your imagination the most? Do you have a pet theory about Atlantis's true location or a hunch about what really happened to the Roanoke colonists? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because history's greatest mysteries are best explored together. And if you're hungry for more deep dives into the past, hit that subscribe button. Who knows, the next video might just uncover the clue that cracks one of these cases wide open. Until then, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, the world's full of stories waiting to be rediscovered. The past isn't finished with us yet.